What is up, YouTube? Welcome back to another trade recap. Today is March 6th, 2026. I'm going to be going over on how I made $760 today trading the NASDAQ. I'm going to be going over today's price action. So let's get right into the recap. Um, oh, wrong scene. Oops. Okay. All right. So, going over my buys first. So, hopped on the charts around 8:30-ish. Um, Yeah, hopped on the charts at around 8:30ish, and honestly, going into the day, I had more of a bullish bias. And the reason I had a bullish bias was because originally we were inside of this 4-hour range, this 4-hour for value gap, right? You're opening up in this 4-hour for value gap, and we also left data highs above right here. All right, let me get rid of some of this noise. Well, we left data highs up here and an unfilled hourly, I believe, yeah, and which was also an hourly intermediate high. So two good high time frame draws on liquidity. Data highs, very good draw on liquidity. If you guys don't know what data highs are, it is just a news candle wick, basically. So we had non-farm payroll today at 8:30, and it left a wick, as you can see right here. And price normally likes to trade back higher, sweep it, and then get a continuation or reversal low or whatever. Um, And yeah, that was my overall my bias going into the day. The but the only problem with today was ES. During this time, around like 8:35, I think. Yeah, as you can see, ES was trending lower, right? ES is just running through gaps, right? As you can see, ran through this gap. Um, on the hourly, we could see just absolutely running through gaps, just displacing through these gaps very heavily, and then what looks like it's trending towards this low, right? So midway around, um, midway around, sorry, let me go back here. Around going into 9:30 open, I completely flipped my bias to bearish. Why? We were just completely dumping, right? Look at the 4-hour candle, completely dumping. Yes, we were still in this 4-hour range, but I couldn't see this holding anymore, right? ES was completely just dumping through all this, seeking out other sell side draws below. So I honestly didn't think this 4-hour would hold at the time. Um, and yeah, so going into 9:30 open, so now that my bias was completely flipped, we left a we tapped into this 15-minute gap right here. Let me mark out the box. We tapped into this 15-minute fair value gap right over here. And at this point, my target, what I was looking at, what I wanted price to get hit, what I know what was gonna get hit was this 1-hour fair value gap, right? So 9:30 opened. We're still in this 15-minute range, right? Um, but we continue to trade higher. We continue to trade higher, right? On the 1 minute. And then we get this stop hunt right over here. We're still in this 15-minute, but we also tap into a 30-minute, right? We're also in this 30-minute, respecting it beautifully, right? Like, look at this rejection, right? Look at this rejection wick right here. Looks like we are clearly respecting this 30-minute, this, oh my gosh, this 30-minute gap, and probably going to continue lower down to this hourly fair value gap, which we edged, right? And at this point, ES was also seeking out the sell side, so I wanted to keep being bearish until ES takes the sell side because this draw just looks so obvious to me, guys. Like, look at this. We're just completely displacing through everything, distributing um, off these high time frame gaps right here. As you can see, we're just respecting this 1 hour, trading lower, disrespecting bullish, and respecting bearish. What are we? What does that mean that we are? We're bearish, okay? And just this low looks so obvious to me on ES, and I did not see price going back up until we hit that low. So NASDAQ ended up trading into this 30-minute fair value gap, getting a rejection. I don't have the 30-second time frame pulled up right now, but I took a 30-second. Um, and the reason I took it, the reason I didn't wait for another resweep, right? Because this wasn't, I mean, obviously, like we had the stop hunt, right? Stop hunt is looks something like this, where let's say we have a high and then a low, and then people get faked out here. People think it's going to distribute lower, but then we get a resweep, and then now we're ready to continue lower. That's what I like to see. That's what I like to trade with IFEGs. I like to wait for a stop hunt, right? I want liquidity to get swept. Liquidity to get swept, right? Making our stop loss high resistance, okay? High resistance meaning it's most likely protected. It's most likely not going to get traded into. That's why I like to wait for stop hunt, right? Like we swept this already once. There's no reason for price to go back and sweep it again and to go lower, okay? But let's say we had a scenario like this where actually no, never mind. Sorry. That's completely regardless. Yeah, but making this high resistance now, right? We swept this high once. We don't need to go back now. I took a 30-second. My entry was around here. Sorry, I don't have the 30-second time frame. It's on trade of 8. I'm not going to pull that up right now for you guys, though. But yeah, we got super obvious displacement, right? So again, we tapped a 30-minute fair value gap. Tap the 30-minute fair value gap. We have the stop hunt, right? We sweep this high. We sweep it. Now we get obvious displacement lower. We get a crazy good candle, okay? Look at this close. Beautiful. Okay, barely any wick. Yeah, there's wick, but like very strong bearish candle to the downside. And obviously we also inverted this 1 minute. You could have taken this entry, but I took the 30-second. I had a lot of conviction in this, so my position looked something like this. It's like that. Yeah, ended up going break even at this low right over here, and ended up TPing right at the hourly, right here. You could have honestly played it even better. Sorry, wait, you could have honestly broken even at, there we go. Sorry. You could have honestly won break even when, actually no, I don't think this would have played out if you would have broken even when ES took the sell side. I think we traded a little higher before we went lower, but yeah, this was so obvious, right? We have that high time frame draw, the one being a 1 hour fair value gap, and ES also has a high time frame draw below, being the sell side liquidity, which we're clearly trending to, right? Clearly trending to, clearly displacing towards. So yeah, today was very obvious. And this is how the trade played out. Yeah, literally just dumped. Sorry, my take profit was like right there. I think we actually might have I think we made equal lows with the hourly, if I'm being completely honest. Yeah, I don't know. My take profit was at like literally at this low. I by like 1 tick I got hit. But yeah, honestly, super obvious day. Um, yeah, it doesn't really get much obvious than that, you know. Yes, also respecting a 15-minute, also inside of a 30-minute. When I like to look, when I'm getting into a trade, I also want to see what ES is doing, obviously, because if Nasdaq is tapping a new 15-minute fair value gap and Nasdaq looks like it's ready to go lower, but let's say ES edges a 15-minute, right? Let me draw this out for you guys. So like, let's say Nasdaq taps into a 15-minute, right? Let's say this is a 15-minute or 30 minutes, some kind of high time frame gap, 15-minute. One thing I also want you guys to take away is high time frame. You always want to only follow high time frame, okay? So 15-minute and plus. You don't want to be looking at the 5-minute unless it's sponsored by the 4 hour or something, or like high time frame. You only want to be taking high time frame PD arrays. For example, a 15-minute for value gap, which NQ taps into. Right? Let me mark this out. NQ. So let's say this is NQ, and then this is ES. Oops. Okay, that's ES. Right. So NQ right there. and ES is right here. So yeah, look now, ES looks like, or Nasdaq, it looks like it's ready to just distribute, go back down off of this gap. Let's say we have an IFEG here, but this is not a valid setup because why? ES has not tapped in this 15-minute. Look how close we got to this 15-minute. We edged it, right? Well, what I'd want to see is a move back higher and then a move back lower, right? Also making that stop hunt that I was talking about earlier. So, oh my gosh, resweeping that high right over here, resweeping that high, making your stop loss high resistance, meaning price most likely won't trade back to it, right? So I want to see ES trade higher, tap the 15-minute, and then go lower. That is what I want to see because it doesn't matter if NASDAQ is ready to go lower or higher, whatever instance this is, ES has to be ready as well. ES has to have that same narrative behind it to go lower. And in that case, we had both of them, right? ES tapped 30, as you can see. Get rid of this drawings. Yeah, right. So ES tapped this 30-minute, right? Wicked into it, and then we are seeing clear displacement lower to the sell side liquidity. Very, very obvious bearish draw day. Yeah, very simple. If you guys have any questions on today, make sure to leave me a comment. Let me make sure to leave me a comment, a question. Thank you guys for support's been great. You guys have been leaving me a lot of support, which I really do appreciate. Um, and yeah, I want to thank you guys. And hope you guys learned something from today's video. And yeah, that's gonna wrap this trade recap up.